This board's 70th anniversary draws near. Children involved in the lawsuit are sharing their experience. 13's Callie Holthouse brings us that perspective tonight. Callie, what did they say?
Melissa, the two child plaintiffs I spoke to were largely unaware of what was happening around them at the time, or the pivotal role that they and their parents played in shaping the civil rights movement. At the heart of the Brown versus Board lawsuit were parents fighting to make the world a fair place for their kids.
I understood that they were trying to make it so I could go to school with my friends.
Dwayne Fleming was one of 20 child plaintiffs in the suit.
I was raised in an integrated neighborhood. There were white people, African Americans, Indians, Mexicans, everything in our neighborhood, but we couldn't go to the same schools.
Victoria Benson was also a child plaintiff, though she didn't know it.
My mother and father didn't discuss anything like that with their children. They wanted us to be children. I think I was probably in high school before any of it made sense to me.
Benson attended Buchanan Elementary, an all-black school about 6 blocks from her home. The all-white Lowman Elementary was half a block away, but Kansas law prohibited her and her sister from enrolling. That lack of power to decide where to send her kids for school motivated her mother to sign on to the lawsuit.
It was she had the right to make the choice. Don't take my choice from me.
Their stories serve as a reminder of how far we've come and how far we've yet to go in the fight for equity.
I have to point out is that prejudice is a learned thing. It's not something anyone is born with.
You can put an Asian child, Hispanic child, black child, right here on the floor. They'll eat out of the same bowl, play with the same toys, wrestle around, hug one another. Hatred and prejudice is taught.
We're all human beings. All of our blood is red.
May 17th will officially mark 70 years since the Supreme Court sided with Fleming, Benson, and their co-plaintiffs, ruling that separate was not equal. Events all around the capital city will celebrate the milestone. I'll be back here tomorrow with a look at photography in the civil rights era. 13 plaintiff families are listed on the Brown versus Board case. The action affected hundreds of other students who attended Topeka's segregated schools. One of them was Norma Amory. 13's Madison Bickley visited her and learned how she turned discrimination into perseverance.
Norma Avery attended Topeka's all-black Washington school through the first grade. She says the U.S. Supreme Court's Brown v. Board ruling shifted her entire life.
Washington school, it was really a great school. I went there to the first grade, and then we transitioned over to Parkdale Elementary School. We was cautious and didn't know what to expect, but it was just a time of change.
Avery said she soon realized she wasn't wanted there.
I'm left-handed, and my teacher wanted to trade my hands. I wanted me to be right-handed. And so what she did was she would hit my hand. She would hold the other one behind my back and just be really nasty.
However, Avery said the obstacles made her the woman she is today.
You know, you have to learn how to ignore some of this stuff instead of trying to do the battle. The battle is only going to get somebody in trouble if you battle too hard, and it solves nothing. I've learned a lot over the years from her doing that, because it makes me more stronger to want to succeed in whatever I do.
In the end, Avery prays that through difficult times, people will learn to stand together, promoting peace, not violence.
I just hope that we all start coming together, because when it all boils down, we're going to be together anyway. You know, we shouldn't have to all come together during the disaster or something. We should already be on that same plan, whereas we need each other.
Some really powerful stories coming forward as we look ahead to the 70th anniversary of the Brown versus Board case that is coming up this week on Friday. We posted information on WIBW.com about activities planned to celebrate it, and hear more stories from people connected to the case all week on 13 News.
Little a week away now from the day 70 years ago that altered the course of education for children across our nation. 13's Madison Bickley visited the Brown versus Board National Historic Park today to see how things are being geared up now for the big anniversary.
David, tons of events are lined up around May 17th, which marks the 70th anniversary of the Supreme Court's Brown versus Board of Education decision. The pivotal moment in civil rights movement would desegregate public schools.
We know a lot about the court case, but what was the day-to-day stuff going on in this school? We really didn't know a lot about that.
70 years ago, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled on a case brought forth by 13 African-American parents in Topeka on behalf of their children. The Brown v. Board National Historic Park is preparing to celebrate the anniversary.
We've done a lot to honor the plaintiffs, and things are going to be going on that will still be honoring those plaintiffs as well. But we've never done anything to kind of directly address or acknowledge what happened to the students who were directly impacted from the court case at that time. And so by having that homecoming celebration, it was kind of like our way of kind of filling in that gap. So kind of looking at what we've done in the past and what could potentially be done in the future.
Nick Murray with the park says they will host a homecoming celebration, which he expects will provide an insight like no other.
We could sit there and go through the information that's available in textbooks. And kids, it's something that they've heard already. But when you get to those personal stories, those are things that kids can still relate to today. And then that's one of the hooks that we can use to kind of share that deeper story of what Brown versus Board of Education was, what it did, the impact it had, and how it's still impacting them today.
Murray says in many ways the celebrations show the significant change of what Brown was and is.
Having for almost 60 years that precedent of separate but equal being directed not only in schools but every aspect of public society, and now with this court case having a way to go out there and challenge all those other legal forms of segregation. But also to kind of look back and be like, what hasn't changed and what can still be done.
The homecoming celebration will take place on May 18th at the Brown v. Board National Historic Park. We posted a list of other anniversary events on WIBW.com.
And we are also very excited to be hosting some special guests as we mark the anniversary next week on 13 News Eye on Northeast Kansas and our newscasts throughout the week.
Art has the ability to make us all think, but it also has the power to make us feel. That is one goal behind Topeka's newest art exhibition. 13's Callie Holthouse is here tonight with an inside look for us. Callie.
David, your eye is immediately drawn to the neon sign flashing against the exhibit's white walls and the array of textures and colors. Together, these things tell a collective story, a history that Topekans all share.
Can only make new stories with the ingredients of stories that already exist.
Craving Light, the Museum of Love and Reckoning, explores the stories of those involved in and affected by the Brown versus Board decision.
I heard a lot of stories about the threshold between segregation and integration that were jarring and violent and hostile. It was interesting because some of people have held stories for 70 years and you would have thought these things happened to them yesterday.
Sculptor Vanessa German co-created the exhibit alongside members of the Topeka community.
The fundamental engine of this exhibition has been the courage of people in Topeka willing to do something new.
Together, they collected items, stories, and emotions to include in Craving Light.
The components were made in several community workshops in Topeka, and the story they come with is important, but the meaning we make of it, that's important too.
Pieces of the story can even be found in the exhibit's title, pulling from the profound testimony of Silas Fleming during the Brown versus Board trial.
I found it to be incredibly poetic and beautiful, and I feel like it's important in this case to recognize that yes, it was the Supreme Court and policy, but it was fundamentally about people's access to their own humanity.
German hopes not to make you think, but to make you feel.
This is a place for feeling. Yes, it's a place for thinking. We can't stop our brains from thinking, but this is really a space to make connections between curiosity, feeling, and the story that you think you know, and the story that you want to make.
German was commissioned by Topeka Arts Connect for this installation. Craving Light officially opens tomorrow night at 6:30 at the
Army. Friday marks 70 years since the U.S. Supreme Court issued its decision in Brown versus Board of Education, saying separate but equal is inherently unequal. No one knows that history better than the students who lived it, and 3 of them are here with us today: Carolyn Campbell, Dale Cushenberry, and Bernard Hurd. It's so good to see all 3 of you. Thank you for being here. And you all have been very involved in education, which is fantastic as well. So which schools did you go to, Carolyn? You went to?
I went to McKinley Elementary in North Topeka.
In North Topeka.
Buchanan.
And Bernard?
Monroe.
Monroe Elementary. So 3 of the different people so often talk about Monroe because it was at the center, so to speak, of the Brown v. Board case, but all the schools actually were. And Carolyn, what do you remember about that time? What was your school like?
It was wonderful. I always tell people that I am a proud product of segregation because every day that we went to school, we were greeted with love and respect, and we were valued every day. Which was our teachers.
And that actually was an important part of the Topeka case, Dale, if I recall, because the schools were good, your teachers were qualified. What do you recall about that time?
I think I have to piggyback on what Carolyn said. I thought the respect, the love was there, and the high expectations. And the other piece was so much fun. I mean, you were there with your friends, and even the bus rides were fun. we didn't, at least I didn't think about the separation. I didn't think about any of the legal aspects of it. I just knew that we were going with friends in the community. We were going to a place where there were high expectations, and we were being educated.
But Bernard, what was your neighborhood like that you were living in and growing up in?
I grew up in the Bottoms, so our neighborhood was fairly integrated. The change in schools had very little meaning for us from the standpoint of culturally speaking.
Because the school had all of your
Because
neighbors?
all of our friends and neighbors would simply be at the schools.
So before that, when you were going over to Monroe, what was that Monday morning like for you?
When I was going to Monroe, the most outstanding feature would be, for me, was the teachers. The teachers were excellent. They did a great job, and in fact, I can even name them to this day.
The anniversary of Brown versus Board of Education was yesterday, and today a celebration was held to commemorate the important decision. 13's Brent Palmer has more from those who were directly affected by the ruling.
Hey, Callie. I was able to go to the Brown v. Board homecoming and learn some important lessons from the alumni of these desegregated institutions. Brown v. Board homecoming was a special event for those who attended. It was a time for alumni like Donald Perkins to reminisce on their time at an all-black elementary school.
We were all brothers and sisters. I got pictures. I got all my grade cards from back then. We were just real close. The teachers were excellent. They'd spend time with you. I've got excellent grades. I just had a good time in school, and they cared. They were really, you could tell they cared by the way they responded to you.
Rosetta West had a very similar experience. She felt she had the best teachers.
They were queens. I wouldn't trade them in for nothing. I would not trade the experience in that I had with them for anything. But I am who I am today because of what they instilled in me.
Both of their experiences changed drastically once Brown v. Board happened.
That transition was hard. I mean, you're talking about children going from a all-black school to a white school in a space where white kids ain't gonna like it, and the teachers didn't like it. So for me, I couldn't act like it wasn't a big thing to me because it was. It was definitely different.
Brown v. Board occurred when Perkins was in high school. His experience at East Topeka, now Topeka High School, was mixed.
So I got to do some writings, and I got to do a lot of things over East Topeka, but I didn't get the good support from the teachers over there because they thought the fact that I was black, that I was getting too much acknowledgement. And I got the acknowledgement from the students, not from the teachers.
This acknowledgement from his peers led to Donald becoming his class president at the high school. Reflecting on the importance of the case, Rosetta West had this to say on the current state of affairs in Topeka and America as well.
My generation has dropped the ball. I think that we need to get up, pick our ball back up, get busy, and do whatever we can to make sure the things that were changed stay changed.
The homecoming celebration lasted from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. this Saturday. There was a speaker and a panel that discussed the experience of going to a segregated school and Brown v. Board's legacy.
Brent, thanks.